Welcome back to the Munn Avenue Muse podcast, brought to you by the Munn, M-U-N-N, Avenue Press.com. On our series, which is now close to 30 episodes, we like to share the experience of authors, many of whom we've had the honor of working with, as well as people who work in the publishing industry. And our audience is made up mostly of authors and avid readers. So I have a very special two guests for you today, Amy Lamb and her mother, Shirley. And I'll tell you a little bit about Amy and a little bit about Shirley, and then their experience and how that led to this wonderful book called My Health Journal. So more to follow on that. But Amy is a certified health and wellness coach with nearly 30 years of experience in the financial services industry. Inspired by her personal journey and her family's health challenges, she created My Health Journal to help others take intentional steps towards well-being. When she's not coaching or writing, Amy enjoys hiking, cooking, and spending time in nature with loved ones. And Amy's accompanied today by her mom, Shirley Lamb, who we understand to be the muse behind My Health Journal. It's nice to meet you, Shirley. We look forward to hearing more about how your experience inspired My Health Journal. So welcome to you both. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So maybe I'll skip right to this, which is, why don't Amy and Shirley, you share how My Health Journal came about? And I'll ask you to read a little bit from the introduction in a minute, but just talk about what inspired this book and how you think it might help others.
Sure. You want me to start and you add on? Yeah. So it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Mom started to lose muscle strength. And she went through quite a lot of testing and a lot of doctor's appointments, and she received, a diagnosis. And following that diagnosis, she underwent monthly treatments for the better part of 4 years, really. And throughout that time, I have sort of a phrase that a friend uses, but I think it fits in this situation. She really experienced sort of every side effect but death. And we really, questioned ourselves, questioned the doctors a lot at that time as to whether or not the treatment was doing what it was intended to do. And it ultimately was when Mom and Dad relocated here to North Carolina in transition of care, that the doctor, the new doctor, had solicited some additional opinions and basically confirmed that Mom was misdiagnosed. But not only was she misdiagnosed, she never had the thing that she was being treated for. And so I think that was eye-opening. But also, along that way, we asked a lot of questions. And what we sort of realized is that Mom was the only person that was talking to all of the doctors. Really disconnected portals, disconnected communication. So we really realized it was very important to take notes and to really tell your story, I think. But what would you add? Anything I missed?
No, I think we just, we should have asked the question at first and then got second opinions and took more notes. We just thought the doctors knew what they were doing and we didn't follow up on it.
Yeah. So with My Health Journal, when you have doctor visits or diagnosis, you can make notes about what they say, right? That's part of the idea. it's also helpful when you switch doctors to have the past notes available too, right?
Right. And if we hadn't have moved, we'd still be up there in Maryland doing the same thing, still
Right.
getting those treatments.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's changed now that you've moved? Has the situation improved? Have you been able to address it?
Oh, yes, we don't have that diagnosis anymore. So we're seeing different doctors and we don't get treated for that anymore.
And you've done a lot of physical therapy and strength training. When we moved, Mom was in a wheelchair pretty much. And she walks with the help of a walker, but that is a significant stride from where we were.
Yes, it is.
So did the misdiagnosis lead to a treatment that had a negative impact on you?
I had to get infusions for those 4 years.
Wow.
And they weren't very good at giving needles, so my arms would be black and blue all the way up. And here they know how to give needles, so you can't even tell.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah.
And then during that time, she had we sort of built out the timeline of major medical events relative to the timing of those treatments. And some of those side effects were, quite severe. We had stroke, heart attack.
Oh my God.
Onset of seizures during that same time frame. Not necessarily, we don't know if it's related, but it certainly, from a timing perspective, seemed to correlate. And so that tracking those things helped us ask more questions. Is this working? And then when we did do that transition of care, we were able to tell the new doctors really what are the major milestones over the last 5 years that had happened, which thankfully, he then garnered a third opinion to say, can you look at this?
Yeah. And they really appreciate it, having the notes.
Yeah. Because they're, part of a good doctor's process is getting a really thorough history, right? Because those are the clues. That's part of the puzzle as to that a good diagnostician uses to solve the problem, or create a diagnosis for sure. Yeah. Wow. You had a passage on page 2, Amy, of the book that I think encapsulates why you wrote this book. Can you just read that for us?
Yeah, happy to. So, we sort of talked about how we got here and really what inspired health, my health journal. And so this passage really speaks to moving forward, right? And so we were angry about losing nearly 4 years to the wrong treatment, but that misdiagnosis was also a turning point. It gave Mom freedom. It gave our family clarity. It allowed us to finally focus on what truly mattered, helping her feel better and regain control of her health. And that's why my health journal exists. It's a tool to track and tell your health story from your perspective, one that adds critical context to all of the scattered data about your health. And so in summary, really, we sort of reflected about this a lot. And, your health is your most valuable asset. And I'm sure there's a quote out there somewhere that says that. And really, that's where my health journal helps. It's intended to help someone be an active participant in their health story. So many times, and we're led to believe that someone in a position will have all the answers. But really, I think what we take from this is that you are the most important person in your healthcare team. And so being an active participant in that, while that may not necessarily change a diagnosis, it can help better manage symptoms and figure out, the best way to make the most out of life. Just enjoy it, feel good, do good. And so that's really the perspective with which my health journal is created.
Yeah, and it is a journal. I mean, Amy does include health tips and an introduction. And you mentioned, I'm sure there's a quote out there. Well, there's several quotes in your book. And one of the lead ones that I think is so important is a healthy person has a million dreams, but once you lose your health, you have only one, to be healthy again, um, because that consumes everything in your world, right? Um, and it's like in life we have musts and wants, and a must is health. A want might be a new car, but health is a must. And in Amy, we spent a lot of time going back and forth together on what to include in each day's entry for the journal, right? So we tried to there's health guides out there, but we tried to do a much more thorough job. I mean, a lot of the ones out there have one page and it's, yeah, how are you feeling today? Check off, check off, check. No, we did 2 pages for every day. One is your daily intentions and another's your daily reflections. And it includes things like, yes, how you're feeling, what's today's plan, your medications, your stress level, your social interactions, which has gotten a lot of press recently about how social interaction is so key to longevity and good health. What you ate the day, what went well, and what you would do differently. And then there's monthly reflections. So at the end of every month, I'll look back on that month and what the highlights might have been during that month. And also, we included double the amount of pages in the book than you see in most, so that it'll last a while for you, and then hopefully you'll want to continue and keep it going. Amy, you and I both keep journals, and because I'm a numbers guy, I put a number at the end of each entry, and this morning I was up to 1995. So it keeps me going to know that the number is growing. And I think I'll hit 2025 pretty soon.
in the appropriate year.
Right. I passed my birthday a little while ago, and now we're going towards the current year. Yeah. So, and I will mention that my health journal is available on Amy's website. What's the website address, Amy?
It's myhealthjournal.com.
Right. So if you go to myhealthjournal.com, you can order it right there. It's not available yet on Amazon and elsewhere, but hopefully sometime in the future it will be. But you can order it right from there. It's fulfilled actually by Ingram, which is like the largest printer in the United States, and they will ship it, and you'll get it in about a week. So I highly recommend that. Shirley, what's one piece of advice you would give people going through this? What could we learn from your challenging experience that might help us and the people listening?
I think the most important thing is to just ask questions and keep notes and get a second opinion and just try to find out as much as you can about the illness.
Yeah, for sure. And then Amy, as a caregiver in this situation, what would be your piece of advice?
I would echo the comments on taking notes. There are so many health tracker devices out there, digital, which are wonderful, and I've used many of them, and I still do to this day. But the thing that I think is so important about taking notes is it's easy to look back a week ago and second guess. How was I feeling? What did I do? Was that right? And when you sort of look back at, a journal or notes that you're actively keeping, you wrote it down. So you felt that way at the time. And it becomes a log and a record, and you can identify from that patterns and trends that give so much more context to the tracker, and can help us prepare for a conversation. And it really was through note taking and talking. We talk a lot, but we talked a lot. And just, it really helped us prepare for, any upcoming conversations that we had with the care team, I think.
Yeah.
And even just as a family to try and work through and understand what was happening, because, at the time, mom and dad were in a different state. And so everybody had different perspectives. It just, taking notes, keeping a log, tracking, was just so important. And that really fueled so many other things.
Yeah. And we have on the 2 pages of the daily journal, we have about 20 different things. And it's not that you have to fill them all out, but they're prompts. To you personally, what's the most important 1 or 2 things that you enter every day?
For me personally, something I'm thankful for. And I really find that helps put things into perspective. And honestly, the things I write probably most days in terms of things I'm thankful for: my family, my health, and my home.
Yeah.
And so probably what I'm grateful for, and then what my plan for the day is. Am I, is it task driven? Am I focused on working out? Whatever it is, usually 2 or 3 things. And I always like to look back at the end of the day and say, okay, what did I intend to do today? What did I do today? And those goals are usually, or those things that I'm doing are usually well aligned with, whatever it is I'm trying to achieve a little bit longer term. So I have a dream of having Tina Turner arms, so I'm working on weightlifting next. Anywho, so usually weightlifting, and then I think, didn't do that today. Not going to have Tina Turner arms anytime soon, but you get it.
Yeah. And like the second thing, and the way this is laid out, the book is laid out, reflects it, because after the date, which you want to know what day it is, right? The first thing is, I am grateful for. So that also kind of sets a tone for the day, right? It puts you on a positive step. And I think one of the things that I look back on that helps me is on the bottom of the first page. It's like, how do I feel? How did I feel last Tuesday? And was it different on Wednesday or Thursday? And is there a pattern to this? I think patterns might matter too, because you can begin to see a pattern. Some things are just data, like, okay, I took my vitamins this morning, or a medication that you take every day, hopefully. And then the social appointments, family and friends, might indicate a pattern. Are you spending time with other people and focusing on relationships or not? Would you like to be doing more of that? And if you are, how would you do that? So it prompts not only thinking differently, but maybe a change in actions going forward as well. Yeah,
I will echo that. Yes, and the daily reflection, when you have the space to note, what did you eat today for your meals? I mean, personally, I have noted that if I am not as thoughtful about my health choices one day, perhaps more sugar than I should, I usually wake up the next day feeling pretty groggy, probably even with a headache. And so that, even in my own personal experience, like, that has helped me. And we actually also have some other family members who have noticed that about, like, certain foods and how they affect them.
Yeah, it's quite stunning. I remember I try it like you to minimize my sugar, although I cheat once in a while. But I remember watching a match at the French Open tennis, and there was one player who was really way ahead in the game, and they took a break. And I saw him go to the sideline, and he drank a sugary soda. They're usually drinking water, and I'm thinking, whoa, that's a lot of sugar. you know. And then he got back on the court and he lost his energy and lost the game. It totally turned around after he drank that soda. So, yeah, nutrition can really impact you. Alcohol, likewise, can have an impact that you might feel great for about an hour or 30 minutes, and then the next day you have a pounding headache. It's so, so that's those patterns again, too, that will show up if you're tracking it on a daily basis. So what was the experience like for you, Amy, going from an idea to holding a book in your hand? What was that like?
Well, honestly, I don't think I ever thought that we would be writing a book. So it sort of happened all very quickly, in terms of just, jotting down the idea, and an initial design. And then, Charlie, I was grateful to be referred to you and Munn Avenue Press through a friend. And you just made the process seem so simple. And one of the things that was most comforting was to work with other professionals like yourself and Lily and Neil, other professional writers and authors. But from the get-go, you explained how the process worked, what would be involved, and guided us through that seemingly effortlessly. And that's not to say that we didn't have bumps or questions, but it was very professional. It was well organized and well guided. And I think that, we sort of came to the table with, an initial copy. So we knew we had to do some editing, some additional creative work, and some design. But I think that piece of it was also a lot of fun too for us as a family, because you mentioned like the quotes at the bottom of the page. It wasn't something that like I had initially thought about, but in that creative process, it had come up as an inspirational, idea to keep people motivated to continue journaling. But I can remember sitting around the dinner table when we were picking through the quotes that we liked the best. And even when it came to the artwork on the, for the cover, we took a vote with family and friends as well. And so it was, like I said, just well organized, very clear, and very professional. And we had some fun during the process. So that was nice too.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the kind words. It was just a delight working with you. And the cover is interesting in that it's simple in a way, because the book is really about you, the reader, and the journalist. But at the same time, it has a dock leading into the distance on the water and a kind of sun behind the title that suggests moving forward in a better way, I think. So it's evocative and pleasant in a supportive, uplifting way, I think. And that reflects the book too. And I do remember between you and Neil and Lily and me having discussions about adding certain things to the daily prompts. And it really is, in a way to think about it, you could keep a journal on a blank piece of paper, which many of us do. But having the prompts is very helpful. Otherwise, I think on a blank piece of paper, we tend to write just what comes to the top of our mind, but we might not be thinking about, okay, what am I grateful for today? Or what was my stress level? Or, did I talk to family or friends? So those things kind of help lead you through, which I think is just great. So what's next for you? Have you thought about anything further in this direction?
Yeah. So definitely a couple things. Right now, focusing on marketing and distribution for my health journal, really trying to get that into the hands of individuals that it might help. And there are so many stats out there right now about the number of people that are facing chronic illness. And so really, I think activating that desire to participate in the conversation about your healthcare is really the thing I'm most passionate about. And that really, so that's why so much focus on distribution and marketing. But the other thing that we're working on is a digital copy to really take advantage of the latest technology out there, perhaps with an app-based twist to it. So some more to come about that, but excited to, find ways to really help people be an active participant.
Great. Well, you're on a good mission here. I mean, a great mission. And for us at the Munn Avenue Press, it's interesting that in December, this past December, we always like to get together and talk about what our goals are for the next year and what our strategy is as a company. And one of our chief goals was we love publishing books that are entertaining and informative, but we also had a goal of publishing books that would impact people's lives in a positive way. And you're helping us fulfill that goal too, because I think this is really an important, helpful tool. And I'd love to see it, Amy, if we could convince doctors or nurses or nurse practitioners to hand out a copy of your book. That would be a nice sort of extra thing they could do. We have to figure out how we can get it in the hands of those people. And I know when
I will say we might have made some mention of that to some recent doctor visits, and I even carry a couple in my backpack for that reason.
Well, yeah, it's good as an author. It's good to have copies available all the time. And I've written several books myself, and I keep copies in the trunk of the car. In a plastic container, just in case, that you never know that somebody could use your book. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Shirley and Amy.
You're welcome.
And thanks for following through on what you're doing. And I wish great good health to both of you for a long time.
Thank you.
And to those listening out there, if you want to encourage longevity and good health, I encourage you to pick up a copy of my health journal. So that's it for this episode of the Munn Avenue Muse podcast. And if you have a book or an idea and would like to talk about it, contact us at the Munn, Munn Avenue Press.com. Thank you so much, Amy and Shirley.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.